peculiar one, hot with anger over politics and a growing feeling that life in America was manifestly unfair. Truths about rich and powerful men getting away with whatever they pleased, from fraud in the case of Donald Trump to Harvey Weinstein's multiple rape allegations, were all over the news, and the country seemed more divided than ever on the basic facts of our collective reality, as the internet gave every conspiracy theory fertile ground and an audience to grow, regardless of how spurious. It was the same summer that convicted doper and Nike athlete Justin Gatlin denied Usain Bolt, in his last solo race, a fairy tale ending to a storied career. It was the summer the running world was still trying to digest Nike's controversial multi-million-dollar attempt at the marathon world record. Pursuing the sub-2-hour milestone on a Formula One track, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza outside Milan in northern Italy, Nike broke from International Association of Athletics Federations (IAAF) rules by having pacers swapped in and out of the race, running ahead of the athletes in perfect flying V formation to block the wind. The competitors, who had footwear technology designed to lessen energy expenditure, a shoe called the Nike Zoom Vaporfly Elite, chased a green laser that beamed out from the back of an exhaust-free Tesla. 32-year-old Kenyan Eliud Kipchoge came within 25 seconds of the coveted sub-2-hour target, but many saw the event as little more than a publicity stunt and raised skepticism about the legitimacy of the results. Meanwhile, Kara Goucher had recently learned that her bronze medal from the 2007 IAAF World Championships in Osaka a decade earlier would be upgraded to silver. She had found out on social media that the Turkish athlete Elvan Abelegese, who finished ahead of Kara in the 10,000-meter race, had tested positive for a banned substance. Using new technology, the IAAF had retested urine from both the 2005 and 2007 World Championships. The reanalysis uncovered 32 adverse findings from 28 athletes, and Abelegese's name was the first to be leaked to the world. Abelegese tested positive for stanozolol, the same artificial steroid that caused Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson to be stripped of his Olympic gold medal in 1988. 2017 also saw the news break that the federal government's $100 million civil lawsuit against Lance Armstrong, instigated by his former teammate and admitted doper Floyd Landis, would be moving to trial. But perhaps the biggest splash in doping news that year had been the release of the documentary film Icarus by playwright-turned-filmmaker Brian Fogel. A passionate amateur cyclist, Fogel originally set out to expose the inefficacy of the anti-doping system, but his efforts led him to Dr. Grigory Rodchenkov, then director of Moscow's anti-doping agency, and Fogel found himself embroiled in an unfolding international scandal centered on the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi. Russia, as the film depicted, had never had an anti-doping program. Instead, the Russian anti-doping agency, RUSADA, had been serving its athletes, likely for the past 40 years, with both the drugs and the means to avoid detection. Despite more than 1,500 documents made public by the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, Russian officials and their president, Vladimir V. Putin, denied the existence of a state-sponsored doping program. Icarus would garner much acclaim, even winning an Oscar for Best Documentary Feature. Lost in these new revelations, however, was the Russian athlete who first exposed her country's national doping program in 2014, a young track star named Yulia Stepanova. Yulia had grown up on a farm with what she described as an alcoholic and abusive father in the city of Kursk in western Russia. While watching the Sydney 2000 Summer Olympics, she daydreamed of what it'd be like to be an Olympian who competed on television and was admired by her entire country. At a running camp years later, she overheard girls in the dining hall talking about taking pills and receiving injections.